All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders in tonight's video. Every single person, and folks, it's not even just this offseason, it's every single year. I've been covering Las Vegas Raiders for like almost 4 years now. Every single year, no matter what the Raiders roster looks like, no matter what their previous season, who they picked up in free agency, it really, who their coaches, literally doesn't matter. For some weird reason, it does kind of feel like the NFL has a vendetta against the Las Vegas Raiders. But ESPN does this, report card, this grade letter for every team in the NFL once minicamp and OTAs conclude. And they, of course, gave the Las Vegas Raiders a D. And it is horrible to me, in my opinion. I think it's horrible. Every single person this offseason, whether like non-Raiders affiliate, right? This is not Raiders media, anything close to that. This is mainstream ESPN, FS1, whatever. There are 3 nitpicks everybody has with Las Vegas and their offseason. Number 1, first and foremost, failing to acquire a long-term solution at quarterback. All right. Number 2, and this one's the funniest, not trading Davante Adams. This is in everybody's report or analysis of the Raiders offseason is, why didn't they trade Davante Adams? And then finally, you have the Christian Wilkins overpay, all right? And we're going to talk about that and a lot more in tonight's video. Hopefully, we have enough time to get through it all in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL and daily Raiders content. Raiders fans, if we try to get this video to 100 likes, I would seriously really appreciate it. So basically just kind of summarize here because I'm not going to throw the whole list on. The biggest move that there are 3 different traits, and then he gives an explanation. The biggest move that Las Vegas did this offseason, it's so funny, failing to acquire a long-term solution at quarterback. So granted, I understand because the way Josh McDaniels and the Jimmy Garoppolo Raiders looked in the first half of the season, it just appeared like the Raiders season was going to be a wash, right? So I get it that nobody outside of Raiders fans and Kansas City Chiefs fans and anybody who played against Las Vegas in the final month or the final 2 months of the season, nobody really knows Aidan O'Connell. And then obviously Gardner Minshew getting picked up to like a $15 million guaranteed contract. Everyone's like, all right, they're just settling for mediocrity across the board. I genuinely believe Aidan O'Connell can be a competent starting quarterback in the National Football League, let alone for Las Vegas Raiders, with one of the best wide receiver and tight end rooms in the entire National Football League. But we won't know until it happens. And I just want to say, like, going to the Davante Adams trade, what people want the Raiders to do, or what they wanted them to do this past offseason, was essentially trade every good piece that you have. Max Crosby if needed, but especially Davante Adams. And I understand, on like a base level, because it is Davante Adams' last year of his contract, and he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Las Vegas, in my opinion, is going over 500, by the way. They're 100% going above 500 as long as Aidan O'Connell, who I think is going to be the starting quarterback, is improved from what we saw at the end of last season, which, if Aidan O'Connell started all 17 games for Las Vegas last season, folks, they're winning at least 9 games, all right? That defense was not top 10. It wasn't, better than average. Their defense was one of the best defenses in the second half in the entire league. Like, it was like second. They gave up like 16 points per game in the final half of the season, all right? But you don't want to trade Davante Adams because, first off, it's a horrible look. Christian Wilkins will not sign with Las Vegas if Davante Adams is traded, because you're basically like throwing in the white flag. Like, you're basically admitting to, all right, we don't have enough talent, we're going to rebuild our roster. And if you're a Raiders fan watching this video right now, that is not the case. The Raiders on paper actually have a really good freaking roster. But especially for Aidan O'Connell, or even whoever's throwing him the football, you don't want to trade Davante Adams, all right? If you go 0-8, or if you start off the season 0-7, yeah, maybe they'll look into a Davante Adams trade, because if you're 0-7, off season, things are about to change. But that's not going to happen for the Las Vegas Raiders. The best move that they had was re-signing Andre James. I agree, it wasn't their best move, but I agree that was a good move. One move he disliked was not trading Davante Adams. We just covered that. But I was just watching this video from Sanjay. He does such a great job covering the Raiders for so long now. He was mentioning Dan Campbell, and how Dan Campbell's first season, they didn't win their first game till like week 12, and now look at him. Team chemistry matters. Who you're playing for matters. Like, all of that small stuff matters. And this was just something I was kind of playing around with, like, Ray, I don't need to explain this to Raiders fans. First half team culture, terrible. Second half team culture, amazing. Everybody, Max Crosby loves Antonio Pierce. Everybody freaking loves Antonio Pierce. But I kind of reminded me of watching the Dallas Mavericks Boston Celtics final series that just concluded. And I know it's basketball and it's a completely different sport, but when you look at Dallas, Luka got a lot of backlash, and I feel like that's just kind of, I know we're talking about the NBA, man, just bear with me. All season and all playoffs long, it kind of felt like the Dallas Maverick players were upset with Luka and his just, needing the ball all the time, right? When you look at a team like the Boston Celtics, they're so united. They play so free. They're in this flow state. Everything comes easy. They like each other. That stuff matters. I think I was watching The Herd one time and he had a former NFL player on and he was like, dude, if your teammates don't like each other, you will not win a Super Bowl. Maybe you'll get to the playoffs. Maybe you'll win a playoff game. Maybe you'll win 2 playoff games. But if there is resentment in the locker room, whether it's for your starting quarterback, a star wide receiver, your head coach especially, you're not going to make it to the promised land. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. So this team chemistry that the Las Vegas Raiders have since Antonio Pierce, a respectable man's man, smash mouth football type of dude. He was a freaking beast as a linebacker for the New York Giants. Like, this is a well-respected man, head coach or not head coach. That's a dude you want to play for. And that's somebody in the game of football, that's somebody you're putting your freaking body on the line for, a dude like Antonio Pierce, somebody who just truly, fully believes in you. Now, finally, Christian Wilkins. And I think Sanjeet made a point about this as well. The defensive tackle position, and like old heads know this, like think about the classic like nose tackle spot, right? Warren Sapp. Like, the defensive tackle position is huge. You could argue it is the most important position on the defensive side. And Christian Wilkins just kind of had his coming to star party last season. He's super young. I don't give a rat's ass what his contract looks like. I don't give a rat's ass, honestly, what anybody, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, like Christian Wilkins, if they're good, pay them. Like, if they're good and they make your team better, they make your teammates better, pay them. Pay them whatever the hell you want, man. I'm not a GM for a reason. I'm a fan making a freaking video in my apartment. Like, Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, and Malcolm Kuntz. We saw those 3 players, not including Christian Wilkins, last season in the second half dismantle game plans and dismantle offensive lines and just wreak havoc on quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. So I'm not saying Las Vegas is going to go 12-5 this upcoming season, take down the Kansas City Chiefs and win the AFC West. Maybe they're not quite there yet. Maybe there is a question mark for Aiden O'Connell's future. But they're going to be just fine. Short term, long term, the Raiders are set. All right. Give me a win-loss projection down below. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.